Good morning and welcome back. This morning we have with us from Belmopan the PUP Mayoral candidate along with two of the councillor candidates. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome, and thank you for being a part of our introductory interviews. I do have to take the time to be able to say that we had extended an invitation to the United Democratic Party through their secretariat to have all mayoral candidates participate in these introductory interviews. Unfortunately, they declined at the last minute, and so we proceed with the interviews with the PUP candidates. And so with that, I say once again, thank you for being here, and let's take the opportunity to find out more about the PUP's candidate and slate for Belmopan City. And I start off with just the question about why you made the decision to enter the race. Let's start with you, Tanya.
Hi, good morning, Marlene. Good morning, Belize. Well, I'm a daughter of Belmopan. I was born and raised in Belmopan. I went to all the schools there in Belmopan when there was just one of each, where everybody knew each other. I have worked in Belmopan all my life, based in Belmopan with the government of Belize. And I have seen Belmopan change. I have seen Belmopan grow, and I have seen when it became a city in 2000, how then Mayor Chanona had really established what is the garden city of Belmopan, where it was really clean, the concept of green areas, really a garden. And I have also seen a gradual deterioration of that concept in Belmopan, of that standard of living, that way of life that we're used to. You know, we're seeing a lot of the green areas being sold off. We don't know if the master plan that was in place is still being utilized, or if there's been some other adjustment to it, or updating of another plan. The crime situation is becoming an issue. Just outside of our office over the weekend, literally outside after a meeting, there was a robbery. A young man was beaten up, and if it wasn't for these guys who are nearby, we don't know what would have happened. You know, so right at our footstep. And overall, I've seen a gradual deterioration in governance, good governance in the city and in the country. And I feel that we need to go back to the basics of working for the people. I have a daughter, born in Belmopan as well, a Belmopanese as we call it, and I want for her to have at least close to what I had growing up, and the other children of Belmopan, the other residents of Belmopan. And the city, the country, the people are yearning for true leadership. And I feel that I have something to offer. I feel that with my experience and my training, my background, my integrity, that I can offer that sort of leadership that is needed in the city.
Before I hear from the candidates, the councillor candidates, I do want to ask you, obviously, the Women in Politics movement is one that has been, there's been a lot of energy injected into training, into pushing for quotas, in having more women in leadership positions. How much did that affect your decision-making process? Because there is the discontent sometimes people feel within a particular municipality, but not everybody takes that step to enter into a political race. Talk to us about that decision-making process and what it meant to be a female candidate entering as well.
Well, it did have a little bit of influence, but I have not gone through any training. I have not gone through those processes, but I just saw the need for it. I just saw the need for somebody to step up. I could not sit around and complain anymore, and there was a void. And like I said, I had something to offer, but having become involved in the past few years with the United Women's Group, past couple of years actually with the United Women's Group of the People's United Party, and being surrounded by some very, I would say, influential women in politics. It's not a lot, it's a handful, but the push that they give to you, the encouragement that they give to you is very strong. And you know, I felt emboldened to step up. And I think personally for me, the fact that I am a woman was secondary. I just saw the need and stepped up. And I said to myself, if I can do it, I can probably inspire somebody else to do it. A young person, somebody who wants to make a difference, a young lady, for example.
Yeah.
No. Sorry, I want to ask one more question. In terms of, you're talking about stepping up, and there's a mix on your slate. You have JB, who I know in politics as someone who's been there and seen a lot of the inside. You have Mira, who's the brother of Oscar Mira, who had actually done some political work and is particularly strong in the peripheral areas. You have Hope Amadi, who's a past UB activist. You have a lecturer. How comfortable and how satisfied are you with the slate going in?
Well, what we attempted to do when we came very close to it was to have representation, not only physical representation or geographic representation of the community, because we have representatives from San Martin, or candidates from San Martin, from Mayoral, from Las Flores, from Central Belmopan 1, Central Belmopan 2, from Belmopan North, JB is from the north. So there's that geographic distribution. But in addition to that, we have candidates that have strong backgrounds. For example, JB is a businessman. He knows the struggles of starting a business, running a business, keeping it profitable. Brian has training in engineering. That is a skill that is required in City Council. We also have Rocio, another very dynamic young lady who is also a single mother, an independent entrepreneur, knows that struggle as well. Cesar, an educator, knows the value of education and wants to push that, although that is not the mandate of the council, but it's key to improving livelihoods, improving lives of families and children. And Hope is a nurse, that health system, that health aspect of and well-being of our community. So it's well-rounded, experience-wise, academic-wise, and geographically. That's why I feel that we have a very strong slate capable of running the City Hall.
Let's take the time to learn more of two of the councillor candidates, of course, and talk to us about why you decided to make the jump.
JB?
Oh, me first? Well, I don't think everybody knows that I've been always politically active. I've been part of the People's United Party since I don't know how long. But more so, Belmopan is a passion of mine. It's my city I grew up in. I've been in Belmopan since 1975. Like Tanya, I've seen the growth. I've seen the progression of Belmopan, Mayor Chanona, all through everything. And like she said, it's a passion and I care about my city. I don't like to see the direction it's going in. I think it can be developed a lot more. I think it can, the values of family, lifestyle in Belmopan has deteriorated. I have children. I'm getting up there and like we were saying, a little bit older in age, and I'm expecting some grandchildren very soon, hopefully. And for kids, you don't have to mess with that right now. But but I want to leave a place that I grew up in, that I was happy to grow up in, that I enjoyed growing up in, and I would like to leave that same environment for them. And the direction that I see Belmopan is going in is not that direction, and we have to grab it by the horn, and we need to get the finances of our city back in order. We are in debt in Belmopan, extremely in debt in Belmopan, that I don't understand how come we've gotten there so fast. In less than 10, 12 years, we've increased our debt to, as far as I know, up to close to about $7 million in Belmopan, which is crazy. So national government is putting us in debt, local government is putting us in debt, and all we're hearing is taxes, 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 and I think that there's more that can be done. There's other means and other ways of generating funds in Belmopan to sustain the economy, the city, and we need to get that going and get our city cleaned back up. The daily routine, the daily chores of City Hall, of cleaning our city and keeping it clean and stuff, is not even being done properly. We need to get back to these things. Like Tanya said earlier, when Mayor Chanona was there, we had a clean city. I mean, I remember having all lawn clean, trash picked up, everything was done to time. You know, I mean, it's not that way anymore, you know, and I need to see my Belmopan, our Belmopan, get back to that level. So that's my drive for getting this way into politics.
Yeah.
Well, my route was a little bit different. I did not want to get into politics. But actually it was Mr. Ambassador Stuart Leslie who encouraged me to get into the arena. I come from a Hispanic background. I was born in Savapan. I grew there all my life. Our family, the Belmopanese community knows my family. We come from a very humble background. Education has lifted us out of poverty. I think that's an example that we can show the people of Belmopan, especially from periphery, that if you really try, you get an education, you can lift up yourself, you know, and that's a message that I want to send across with my candidates, you know.
Now, each municipality faces their own unique challenges, and they also have their own unique opportunities for growth and for prosperity. Going into your campaign, you hear, I'm sure, quite a number of challenges from the residents themselves. What has stood out to you the most, whether surprising or unsurprising, that you have been hearing from the residents of Belmopan?
To me, Marlene, it's interesting. The most common complaint, if you will, throughout Belmopan, throughout the city of Belmopan, the central areas, the north, and all the periphery, doesn't really have to do with financing and the way money is being spent. That is an issue, but it's not the most common complaint I get, or we get. The most common complaint is that we do not see our city council. We do not see our councillors, we do not see our mayor. They don't visit only when there's an election. And there's that voter apathy, that voter cynicism that we have to try to overcome. Yeah, well, you will be no different. You have all these pretty words to say right now, and when you get there, you'll forget us again.
They tell you that?
Yes, yes.
Absolutely.
Go Belmopan. No, I mean, because people think it, but they don't always say it when the candidates come around.
They've told us, yes. So,
and how do you respond to that?
The response is that we're different. Yes, I understand and appreciate your concern. I feel the way you feel, because I have been there too. But now is not the time to give up. If we give up now, we continue to get more of the same. So you have a new team, a dynamic team, a team of young professionals who want to do right and want to make it right. Give us an opportunity. That's the only way we can prove it to you, ourselves to you.
And another thing with regards to us being available to our voters in Belmopan is that, I mean, all of us, just about that are council candidates and the mayor, we are active within Belmopan. I have a business, the Smoke Shack restaurant. Anybody can find me there anytime. I'm not like some of the other candidates that are presently in City Hall right now that are hiding and they can't find them and that kind of. I'm in the public eye. In politics or out of politics, I'm in the public. So I'm not hard to be found. Mr. Ross, he's a UB lecturer. You can find him. You know, Rosia, she goes out to the market, she sells her products and stuff. She's not hard to be found. Mr. Hope, he's at the Western Regional Hospital. How can he hide? You know, I mean, we're all there visible. Our jobs keeps us in the community at all times. So people can find us anywhere. I mean, you know, so we can't hide.
And also,
and we don't want to hide.
Part of our platform is that we need to have a government, be it local government, that is more inclusive. And that stays in touch with the people. Because if I am a government making decisions on your behalf, how can I not include you in that process? How do I know I am fulfilling your needs if I don't talk to you, if I don't see you? This city council will need to be more inclusive and involved with more participatory processes with the council, with the residents of Belmopan.
And let's jump into that, because I think obviously you're going into people's homes, you have your manifestos, you have particular goals that you have set that you feel you would be able to accomplish if elected as the city council. What are those priority areas that you really feel you can effect change in Belmopan?
Well, to mention what is the platform, first of all, it is good governance. There is such a fatigue in this country, including in the city of Belmopan, with the way we are governed, with the way we are spending money, with the accountability of it, the transparency of it. People don't mind the nice infrastructure, you know, that is necessary. But are we getting the value for money? I mean, we just came through Chitamal Boulevard there, that street from the bridge, and it looks like water. My goodness, the way it's left. Was there value for money there? Those are the issues that the Belmopan people are looking for, and so one of the primary areas we want to look at is improving governance, improving the way we spend our money, improving the way we account for the money with the public. Secondly, as I had mentioned before, we need to look at getting more participation from the community. We have had residents tell us we have offered to, for example, manage the park. Just bring it to a standard that we in this community are satisfied with, and we will take it from there. And that hadn't moved anywhere. To me, that is the kind of partnership that you need. If you have a community or a neighborhood offering to work with you to manage the park that they live in, that is creating ownership. It's human nature. You tend to take care of something better if you have a stake in it.
Yes.
We need to look at that. We have one of the big issues in Belmopan is the market. I don't go to the market on market days because I cannot find parking. We need to address that. We need to look at an overall infrastructure plan for Belmopan, because while there's a lot of investments in certain areas that might not necessarily have needed it, you have paved streets already, why you go and cement the street. There are other areas where a little rain falls and it's flooded. The quality of life is affected. So these are some of the areas that we need to look at. We have our manifesto divided into different areas such as citizen security. We need to forge stronger partnerships with the police department and the community itself. We have the management and administration, parks and recreation to uplift our parks, the usual stuff. Creating more arts in the park, more cultural activities in our parks with our communities. But basically, it's to go back to working with a community, create that family feel, that community feel, that it takes a village to raise a child concept in Belmopan. And while the work of the city council is pretty basic, it's mandated, it's legislated, your parks, your garbage, your drains, your streets, etc., to what end is it? It is for the well-being of the community. And so we have to remember to put people at the center of what we do.
Anything? Okay. Now, I think, obviously, in what you're saying, I hear that you want to be able to go beyond what the typical mandate of the municipality is. Now, two fundamental issues that you'll face if you're elected is financing, being able to find the money to be able to implement any project that you propose to the residents of Belmopan City, and also having a strong partnership with central government, which will be led by a United Democratic Party. Talk to us about how confident you feel that if you're elected, that you will be able to find the resources and also work hand in hand with central government.
Well, a city council or a town council, first of all, should not be dependent on central government. A council should be able to be creative in generating revenue, first of all, but also looking at non-traditional ways of getting in revenue or funding, I should say, for the work of the council. If the people of Belmopan decide that they want a PUP administration at City Hall.
When they decide?
That is the will of the people. The people decided in 20, when was the general? 2015, that they want a UDP administration. It is therefore not up to Tanya and the PUP, nor up to Jan Saldivar and the UDP to decide who gets what. This is what the people want. We need to work together. We need to be partners. I am willing and I am ready and able to reach out to work for the people of Belmopan. It is incumbent then on the current administration to provide that support for the residents, because it's not to Tanya, it's not to JB, it's to the community. And in empowering the community, working closely with the residents of Belmopan, I will be the voice, they will be the power. So there has to be that partnership. It's not a question of if or how. And I will fight. I'm a mother. Belmopan residents would be like my children, my family. A mother fights for her children and for her family. So I will do whatever it takes. I also, my experience in the government, I worked at the Forest Department for many years. So many of those having to do with projects, the entire project cycle. That's something that I totally loved. I enjoyed that. I still have a lot of contacts locally, regionally, internationally, that could steer me in a direction to where to find international funding, hopefully primarily grants. But if you have a city with its residents that are confident in you as the leader of the community, they see where the money is being spent. You can demonstrate in black and white, see, this is where your money is going. People will be more willing to pay their taxes. So increase the rate of collection of your taxes. We have had people tell us plain, I am not paying this and this fee because I don't know where it's going. I refuse to pay it, and I tell them I won't pay it. But if we're confident that you are going to do what you say you're going to do, and we know what is happening, I'm willing to pay.
Yeah. Moreover, right now, the way the city council is set up right now, with this bond that they just took out, their subvention is gone. I mean, the subvention is being paid directly to that bond. So in reality, it is GOB that is paying for the bond. It's not City Hall. So although City Hall so-called took out this bond, it's GOB paying for it because their subvention is going directly to it. So even under a UDP City Hall, they still will not be getting any cash because it goes directly to the bond. So we need a City Hall in there that is innovative, that is able to get in there and find other ways and means of getting finances for City Hall, because as far as I know from all this, the accounting that I have seen, and the last one I saw was 2013, because there have not been no audited financials for City Hall for the longest. But what I've seen is that they have been continuously running in the red, and we need to get City Hall out of that. We need to get City Hall up and running properly.
Let's not forget that Mayor Kevin Bernard has absolutely shattered the idea that PUP council cannot work under a UDP government. That is absolutely shattered. Kevin Bernard has been a wonderful inspiration to us. He has pledged to help us and give us guidance on how to, on good practices that he has incorporated into his term now. Yeah. And he has been absolutely successful. So whenever people say, you cannot have a PUP city council under a UDP government, that is,
and
I don't buy into that.
Example of where, just on one street, I moved from there, but there was a street I lived on, and there were residents up the street who had heavy equipment, and the city council there was no action on the street, and you know, the street was getting bad. It's not paved. There was no grading or anything, and he came around and he offered to the community, to the residents on the street, if you pay a certain contribution to it, I will, you know, take the rest of the costs. I will provide the equipment, and we will fix the street. Yeah. And it worked. So why can't we have more of that and formalize those kinds of relationships as well to get the work done?
No. In Belmopan, the voters are, to my mind, very mature.
Absolutely.
But to get in, you have to first win.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the area rep in that area is a juggernaut. And when I say a juggernaut, I mean that his stature in his party, not only portfolio-wise, but even in terms of him being an aspirant for prime minister, that this elections for him is probably a do or die.
Absolutely.
So the elections, I looked at your slate, all of the persons running are first-time runners, correct?
Correct.
Maybe?
Yeah, all.
How prepared are you for that level of desperation? Or I shouldn't call it desperation, that's a nasty word. That level
you're
of
right.
energy.
You're perfectly correct.
No, it's political energy
Yeah.
coming from the area, right? Because one other thing, I was looking at a meme online. I don't know if the slate is responsible or your party is responsible for it, but it was a meme that has all of the councillors along with the mayor and the face of the area rep superimposed, saying that basically that Mr. Saldiva is actually running in the municipal elections. How prepared are you for the political energy that's going to be coming from the area rep, not from Mr. Belize?
Well, for me, when I look at what our political system is in Belmopan, and what you just said just now, we have a very mature voter community in Belmopan, and those games don't get played well in Belmopan. We have an intellectual set of voters in Belmopan. We have a totally different class of voters. We have one city, one constituency, right? So the same people that John Saldiva has to go to for his votes are the same people that we have to go to. And right now, those people that are voting are not only just looking at locally, but they're looking nationally. And I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth. John Saldiva has done a lot of stuff nationally that people are not happy with. The UDP has done a lot of stuff nationally that the people are not happy with, and people are seeing through it. So he can come with all his gimmicks, he can come with all his energy, he can come with everything. People in Belmopan has had enough. So no matter what John Saldiva brings, it's not going to help him either way, because the people of Belmopan will speak, and they will speak come March 7th, and they will say that they have had enough, and they will vote for Tanya and the 6 councillors.
But Mr. Mira,
Yes.
John Saldiva has done a lot.
Well,
I mean, in terms of Belmopan, I'm a sports fanatic.
Absolutely.
And you have 2 beautiful stadiums, FIFA certified. I think you have the most that I've seen enclosed basketball courts. If you drive around,
Right.
he has done and I shouldn't say him, but the city council as well as the UDP have done a lot of work in Belmopan.
Yes. But where have they concentrated that work? The work has been concentrated in the center of Belmopan, and that is his base. Traditionally, that has been his base. What we have found out, but just this Sunday, we had the final football game for the Belmopan First Division, and it was absolutely packed. And then right after, we had a police playing against BDF, and it was absolutely empty. The Bandits game have less fans than a First Division game, and that is showing that the people are kind of getting weary of the political connection around the team, and a lot of it has gotten to a point where PUPs and UDPs are. It has always been that way, that PUPs and UDPs don't really. The political discourse here is a little bit low, right? And if you're a PUP, you don't want to you have gotten partisan, and it shows that PUP, that the fans are getting weary of that, and they're supporting the First Division football tournament more than the Premier League.
Because it's more genuine.
Exactly, it's more community based.
But in addition to that, yes, we have nice football stadiums. We have nice paved roads and streets, cemented streets. But yes, that's development. But has there been progress?
Absolutely. That's where I was going.
How are people living? What is the quality of life in Belmopan? Yet, we have a master plan, and we had a master plan. But then you see all sorts of businesses going up. That is good, that is fine, we need that. But when you don't plan with parking, for example, you have businesses going up in residential areas, and then my driveway gets blocked and I can't get in to park in my yard, or you have bars in communities right next door to families with children, and what about the health and well-being of the people? You have big stadiums, but you don't have the good medication, you don't have proper bedding in the hospital, you don't have the relevant expertise. So we have to look at the whole gamut. It's to a certain end. Yes, those things are good and necessary, but they're not the panacea to the problems and challenges of the people. And that is where they're getting a lot of lashback without even recognizing it.
And that's where I just recently spoke to the principal of the Salvapan RC school, and she has stories of children going to school fainting around 10 o'clock. They haven't eaten in the morning. And this is where I absolutely loved Cordell Hyde's speech, where we have to get back to people. If a child is hungry, that's priority. People come first. People come before things.
Football stadium.
You know, a child will absolutely, in my opinion, come before a stadium. Why would we have a big stadium if we have hungry children? Children not going to school. We campaign house to house. We meet young people, should be in high school, are not in high school. What's the problem? Or
No
we can't afford it.
Parents can't afford it.
And we're not knocking sports, you know.
No, of course
We all
not.
love sports.
Of course.
We love cycling. I mean, the cross country coming up. We love all these things. But we're just saying prioritize, man.
Yes.
Right? How can we be in San Martin, Salvapan, and even in Belmopan proper? You have the Intelco, the Intelco area. People are back there. Streets are not done. They don't have proper drainage, sewer. People's sewer system is draining into others' yards, and how can you have that in the capital city of this country? But yet we're going to have two massive football stadiums. Oh wow!
Unlimited access, by the way.
Unlimited. You know, come on. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just saying we need to prioritize it.
Now, let me go ahead.
Can I say this? We're talking about the maturity of the of Belmopanese. Yes. And again, on social media, I saw that, I don't know if it's true or fake news, but that in Belize City, the University of Belize has managed to get the mayoral candidates in Belize City to a debate. Now, clearly, I mean, as from someone who's not a Belmopanese, but I would love to see the two candidates, particularly for Mr. Bilal, to be able to defend himself and to say, no, I am running in my own stead. This is my record. And you're just campaigning to whoever. Why is it, even though Belmopan has more facilities than Belize, it has the National University present, the National Assembly is there, the culture is there, it has an independent television station in Plus TV. Why is it that you've not been able to sit down and let's talk mano if you mano, or whatever the word is, and get nation looking at Belmopan?
I guess it hasn't been publicized, but at least the University of Belize in Belmopan has scheduled a debate. They're not calling it a debate, it's a forum on the 28th of February. I have confirmed my participation, and I understand the BPP candidate has. I'm not sure, I assume the incumbent mayor has as well.
But he didn't attend the last one.
Yeah, he wasn't at the
last time,
and still won. So we have to question. The debates are good for the voters, but not necessarily for the candidates.
It should be, and I think there should always be an equal opportunity for candidates to be able to express their vision and their priorities for the area that they're running in. But I want to go back to something you said earlier is really just nagging me, and I think it is a problem that we'll find in other municipalities as well. It's the voter apathy that you talk about, and I think that is probably the biggest challenge for most candidates than we are accepting at this point in time. So there needs to be an injection of energy into campaigns that will make people want to make the choice, because that's what I hear a lot when I talk to some of the young people. Oh, it's much of the same, I don't want to hear about politics. And especially the younger voters feel this way. I find the older voters tend to just follow tradition. They're more, some are changing, and there are a growing number of independent thinkers in this country, thankfully. But how do you inject that energy? Your first obstacle is trying to get them to come out and vote before they decide whether they'll go with whichever candidate.
Well, Belmopan is a very interesting place in that regard, because in the peripheral areas, the youth are generally willing to come out and vote. In fact, those are the communities that come out more to vote than in the central, what we call central Belmopan. But it is mainly the youth. We still have a lot of the adults who just say, I was planning to not vote. But I think just the fact that we have new people, young people who generally your young people don't follow tradition, even in this position, has encouraged a lot of people. And when I meet with the young people and we talk to them, sometimes you have to spend extra time with the young people. And you have to explain to them that everything is politics. If you think you're not getting involved in politics or you don't want anything to do with it, the price that you pay for GST on the products you buy at the store, the decisions for those are made by politicians who are elected by the people. The school fees that you pay at the university, those are costs that are determined and approved by politicians which are elected by the people. So you cannot get away from it. Whatever we do as a government, you as young people will inherit. If we do crap, that's what you will pick up when it's your turn. And finally I tell them, as a young person, how would you feel if your parents, if you're a young man, your parents just came to you and said, this is your wife. No, you want to get married. They don't want that. It's the same that you're doing if you allow other people to make the decision on who to vote and who to elect, if you have that power within you as well.
The energy is there. We got 8 full buses from Belmopan to come to the National Convention. That had never been done. The most we had gotten was 2 buses, maybe 3 buses. And this time we got 8 full buses. Yeah. Yeah. The energy is there. You can feel it's a completely different feel now, you know? So I'm really happy the way the campaign is going. We just had Saturday, we had a community meeting which was really well attended. And you know, as PUPs, we're not in power. No. And a lot of people are scared to come out. You know, they say, I can't be seen with the PUPs in a PUP shirt. You know, I work for the government, you know how they are. And we understand all of that. But to see the amount of people that are coming out to the community meetings really gives us that motivation and confidence that we're doing something right.
Okay. Mr. Wade, I can't let you guys leave without me asking this question. Last night I was going over the numbers a bit, and Belmopan is very interesting, and I cannot not go back to 2009, because 2009 was a marked year for your party, in that it was the only year in political history where anywhere in the country the PUP came in third, at a third party. I think it was the VIP.
Yeah, it was only one VIP that got more votes than one of the
Mayoral. In terms of the popular vote, the VIP got 100 more votes in popular votes than the PUP. So the PUP did, in fact, come in third. That's 2009. But there's an interesting, when I'm cross-referencing, that Belmopan has never had a rep who's female. It's never had a successful mayoral candidate for PUP or UDP, female. And just, I don't know if it's political coincidence, but in that 2009 election, the PUP mayoral candidate, Ms. Rosalie Casey, female. My question has to be dry. Is there a bit of sexism in Belmopan?
Nope, not at all. And we'll rectify that and answer that question for you come March 7th, when Tanya becomes the first mayoral candidate of Belmopan. Other one grab you. No, that's totally not so. No. Belmopan is nowhere close to being sexist at all. Belmopan just needs good caliber candidates. Our candidates need to have proper support. And this go around with our mayoral candidate, Tanya Santos, she has the support. She has the full support of the team. She has the full support of the supporters in Belmopan. And we have a machinery that is strong, fully oiled, and she will win.
The party has had its challenges, and that situation there was right after a major loss at the national level. But in addition to that, we've seen now there's a shift. The pendulum has shifted. The word that I use often is that the voters are weary. They are tired. They have said we are ready for a change. And they have embraced the concept of having a woman different. That is a change. What bigger change than that? And it's not, I like to say, or I agree that it's not just any woman. It is the candidate. It is the person.
No.
Just like it's not just any man. It's not just any man that I will vote for.
was received the most votes in Belmopan in the last municipal election, more than the mayoral candidate.
Yes.
And in fact, was not included in the slate this time around. So I think it speaks to the question as to how people in Belmopan feel about women in leadership.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And there are more, actually, in this election go around, there are more women voters than male voters.
Oh yes, yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
But my final question is in terms of, well, it's two-pronged because I'm wrapping up. One is there's a margin of almost 1,500 votes. How are you going to deal with that, one? And two, I know there is a duality of management of the city between the city council and Recondev.
Yes.
Is that a challenge, and how do you plan to deal with that?
Well, Recondev is becoming slowly obsolete to Belmopan because Recondev has just been there basically to manage Crown land and then pass it over to City Hall. We have now found out that over the past 12 years they have basically given away and distributed almost all the land in Belmopan, so Recondev really has no purpose in Belmopan anymore. So everything will be under the management of Tanya Santos when she becomes the mayor of Belmopan.
Recondev is basically a political toy right now, a political to reward somebody to manage. But it should have been, in my view, incorporated when Belmopan became a city. And so we need to work towards that because you're a city now. You should be responsible for all the resources within your limits and the numbers.
And with regards to the 15 or the 1,400 votes that we had deficit last municipal elections, my personal view on that is that at that time it was still a low for the People's United Party. Belmopan was not totally organized. There was still some discrepancy going on in Belmopan. That has all changed. We are now a fully united Belmopan. The full machinery is at work. That 1,400 will not be an issue in Belmopan. As far as I'm concerned, it's already gone.
all right, we're completely out of time. Tanya, I'll give you 1 minute for a closing statement at this point, right?
Okay.
Right into the camera there.
I'd like to make an appeal to the residents of Belmopan. You know what you're going through. You know what you're experiencing in our community. We know the ills of our community. We know the desires of our hearts for ourselves and of our children. We have a team that is ready, willing, able, qualified, educated, experienced to run the affairs of the city with clean hands, clean hearts, putting people at the center of what we do with compassion, integrity, and all of that. I want to also make an appeal to the voters who are registered in Belmopan but do not live in Belmopan. Look at the situation that our country is in. Look at the situation that our city is in. We need to make a difference. We need to make a change for ourselves and for our children. So I make an appeal on the 7th of March. Please vote PUP 7 for Belmopan down the line and send a loud message to this current administration that we will not tolerate it anymore. We are tired of it and it's time to bring a change to Belmopan.
Right. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we're shifting gears to find out more about the establishment of the Northeastern Biological Corridor. That's coming up after the break, so stay tuned.